Eastern Illinois head coach Adam Cushing, the Panthers coming off a loss to nationally ranked UT Martin this past week. They're going to be at home again. They'll host TSU on Saturday afternoon. Both teams 1-1 in the OVC standing. So, Coach, thoughts on your team, and then we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, obviously, heck of a football game, and boy, Jason's done an unbelievable job this year with his team, man. Just got to give a ton of credit to UT Martin, the way that they played. It was a heck of a game, man. We had the lead going into the fourth quarter. That's what we were wanting, an opportunity to, in a first place battle in the league, and they made the plays down the stretch. We did not, but man, it was really fun. I mean, it was really, really good football game. Our guys really, really battled well. There were a lot of big plays on both sides, a lot of good things that happened. And so you hate to say that there's something to build on, but you go toe to toe in the first place matchup, and we just got off the practice field really, really spirited go. So our guys truly understand and have full belief in one another, and that's what's most important when it comes down to opportunity to go win this Saturday.
Thanks, Coach. Dan, if you want to go ahead with your questions, go ahead.
Sure. You were able to get some guys back on the field last weekend that you haven't had for much of the season, or in the case of Isaiah Hill, all the season. I know it's different practicing than playing. Do you expect those guys, if they stay healthy week to week, just to improve like the rest of your team has?
Absolutely. You said it well, right? That we've been doing everything we could to get Isaiah some practice reps and just get him back in the flow of it. But but with all those guys that came back, Tyler and Xander and all those guys, right, that it just is different on Saturdays. And so, and it'll just, the more healthy that they all get, right, the more reps they'll get throughout the week, the better they'll get. And they all have that growth mindset, those guys. So pretty exciting to have those guys back on the field, and pretty exciting for this past game to be, hopefully the worst game they play, right, that they're just going to keep on getting better.
When you look back at the spring game with Tennessee State, what a wild one that was. Have you talked about that much with your team, or that's the past and you're moving forward?
Not yet this week. Certainly as coaches a little bit, but not really with the team. I think the focus is on the here and now, and certainly what you see from Tennessee State is that they've just gotten better and better throughout the year also, right? They're playing their best football right now. You really see that both the players and coaches have kind of settled in and are really taking advantage of what they do well on both sides of the ball. So we got our hands full this weekend with this crew, and hopefully their kicker doesn't kick a 300-yard field goal and followed by a 200-yard field goal for the win. So
I got one more for you, and then I'll give the other guys a chance. Mike Brad in his broadcast on Saturday mentioned, following Tony Romo leaving Eastern, Coach Spoo had to play some younger guys, and they kind of took their lumps for a couple of years, and then, they really turned it around, beyond that. My question to you is that more difficult to do now in this transfer portal era when kids don't want to stay in one place and be patient?
Yeah, it's a heck of a question. And I'd be lying right to your screen if I said I hadn't thought about that. Certainly there's some challenges that are present now that maybe weren't present at that point. But in the end, I think, team building and leadership is team building and leadership, right? And the things that worked in ancient Rome still work, right? And so, the challenge in the end is it's just leadership and team building is the battle for the hearts and the minds of your young men, and true having them buy into one another. And truly, I think that's what I'm most excited. I told the team this morning, I do a brief team meeting over Zoom in the mornings on Tuesdays. And I told them this morning, I've never been more proud of them. And I really, the way they showed up to practice today, you really see that they've never believed in each other more than they have at this moment. So there's challenges to it, certainly, but we just look at each other, we look each other in the eye, and you tell the truth. And in the end, great teams are built on that ability to tell the truth and have each other's back. So that's not what we focus on, right? We just focus on what we have in our locker room and the care that we have for each other.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Mike, I know you're listening on your phone. I didn't know if you had a question for Coach and could ask it or not.
See, unmuted.
Yeah, I don't, well, anytime, Mike, if you can, sometimes he's not where he can ask a question. Feel free to just jump in. Let me ask this one then, Coach, about TSU. Dan referenced the game you all played. Different coaching staff, obviously, but a bunch of the same players that you all saw that are playing for them. Can you talk about maybe that dynamic and the same faces, different schemes, different terminology, however that works?
Yeah, no, they're a good football team. That is, I really, what I'm most impressed with is what Coach George has done from the beginning of the season to now. Just you look at how they've improved as a team, the things that they've done better, and just again, they've done a great job as a coaching staff identifying what their young men do well and then playing to that strength. Right, you definitely see that trend on both sides of the ball from the first game to now. So yeah, there's some familiar faces and they're pretty darn good, right? I mean, number 3, obviously the running back is a special player, man. He's very, very good. They've done a great job of targeting their tight end and getting him involved in the offense as of late here. They've got wide receivers. Obviously, their kick return specialists, they're dangerous, right? Anytime he has an opportunity to catch the ball on punt and kickoff. And so that's going to be a heck of a challenge in our special teams to just net him up, because they do everything they can. They do a great job schematically to get his hands on the ball. And so we've obviously got to have a great emphasis to tackle, because he's tough to tackle. And then defensively, I mean, they're really, really darn good. And you can't look at anywhere on their defense and find a weak link, if that makes sense. They're just solid from top to bottom. And I think what you've seen is that they've figured out that they just let these dudes play, and these guys are pretty darn good, and they don't run themselves out of plays at this point in the season. And that's what's making them a pretty darn good defense.
Your team has been involved in a lot of close games that have gone the other way. Last 2 weeks, TSU's a 2-point game and an overtime game, and just went the right way for them. Is there anything do they gain like extra, I don't know, positivity when the ball bounce, a lucky bounce, no matter how much you do and go their way? Can you talk about maybe that dynamic going on in this game?
Yeah, there's no question. If they ought to be driving up here with a bunch of confidence, right? And that's a real thing. And sometimes just getting that win gets you so much, right? Just gets you so much confidence and belief. And so, certainly I'm a broken record here for a while on that same idea. And, it comes down to, can you continue to have that belief, right? I talked to the team about it this morning. I know this sounds crazy, but Thomas Edison failed at inventing the light bulb 10,000 times before he finally invented it. And so you just have to have the courage to do it the 10,001st time. And so that's what we're talking about, and they get to talk about just keep on doing what they're doing. And I think what you look at is two really, really sound football teams that are going to have a heck of a game. I'm not going to, say anything other than it's exactly what I said at the beginning of the season. Every single OVC game, you're going to see this. You're going to see really, really well-matched teams that anybody can win. And I think you've seen that, pretty much all season long with the conference game so far.
Anybody else other questions? Dan, follow up, Mike, and if you can hear us, anybody?
Thanks, Kyle. You asked the question that I was looking for.
Okay, well, glad to help out. Coach, thanks so much for your time this morning. Best of luck on Saturday, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Absolutely. As always, go Panthers.